Hello and welcome to Delivering the Promise of SAP S/4HANA, the Executive Business Briefing with T-Systems and SUSE. My name is Philipp Punschmieding. I'm your technical moderator today. If you have any questions about the usage of the tool or questions for the panelists today, then please let me know. I will ask the questions after the webinar to the speakers from today. And now I'm happy to introduce the first of the speakers, which is Markus Flohr. Hello, Markus.
Yeah, hello and good afternoon, and thanks for the warm welcome. Let's start with our webinar today. So we have this agenda prepared for you today. So first of all, I will talk a little bit about the SAP data migration challenges we see from T-Systems at our customers. Before we go to the technology platform. So Intel will talk about the Intel and SAP innovation story, followed by Dirk Oppenkowski from SUSE. He's talking about accelerate SAP transformation. And at the end, we will come back to me again, and I will show you how we will deliver these kind of data migration challenges I'm starting with now in the real life, in the real world, and what the advantage is for the customer. So let's start with the data migration challenges, and these are the main data migration challenges, SAP data migration challenges we see at our 600 plus customers we are managing in our private cloud or in the environment of the customer. So first of all, and I think this is what every customer will have in the next 5 to 7 years, we will talk about cloud migration. So do we use the public cloud? Do we stay in the private cloud like with T-Systems? Will we have hybrid scenarios, etc.? Another very interesting topic around data migration challenges is mergers and acquisitions, as well as divestitures, especially in the COVID-19 crisis we have right now. And I will give some information here later on. The third thing, and I think this is a very important topic in the next 5 years for all SAP customers, is the S/4HANA migration as one of the most important and high prioritized data migration challenges. And this is immediately followed by harmonization. So when we are talking about S/4HANA migration, we also talk about harmonization. So how can we merge 2, 3, 4 or more SAP landscapes into one S/4HANA installation? So this is a question we will often get from our customers, and where we help our customers to harmonize the SAP data environment. And last but not least, and also very important, test data, because from a compliance perspective, test data is very, very important. And providing the test data and the anonymization of the test data to be GDPR compliant, this is another data migration challenges we see at our customers. So one example about cloud migration is our customer Continental. So our customer Continental is working with us since many, many years in the T-Systems private cloud, and we are hosting nearly all SAP landscapes of this customer in our private cloud. And the customer came to us the year before last year and said, okay, we need to talk about a hybrid scenario. And how can we bring SAP landscapes to the public cloud? So Continental made the decision to go to or to use Microsoft Azure as a public cloud, and to install and implement, and this is what we are doing right now, a hybrid scenario, so that they use the private cloud of T-Systems, but special parts and special areas of the SAP landscape will be migrated, and also their migration to S4 will be migrated to Microsoft Azure. And this is where we have a lot of experience in migrating SAP landscapes to the public cloud, especially when you have large databases and short downtime windows, so that we can use the near zero downtime approach for these kind of cloud migrations. So we are able to migrate huge database in a narrow downtime window to the cloud. Doesn't matter if it's public cloud, doesn't matter if it's the private cloud. We've got a lot of experience here in this area. And I said at the beginning, the next part is, sorry, the slide doesn't move. So here we go. I said in the beginning, mergers and acquisitions is also a very important data migration challenge for our customers. Why is it so important? Because we see, or we are in the COVID-19 pandemic right now, in a crisis our customers are facing. And there will be a winner of the COVID-19 pandemic who will extend their business. And there also will be losers in the COVID-19 pandemic where the business is shrinking and they have to make a new setup of their company. So the probability that there will be mergers and acquisitions after the COVID-19 pandemic is very high. And when we look in the history, we can see this in the history. We have seen this when the dot-com bubble bursted in 2000, end of 2000. During the crisis, the M&A activity goes down, and immediately after the crisis, M&A activities are going up. We have seen exactly the same at the financial crisis 2008, and we are expecting the same when the COVID-19 pandemic will go down. Oops, sorry, that was one too fast. Another scenario and data migration challenge for our customers is, of course, in the next 5 years, the migration of SAP ECC systems to S/4HANA. And this is what we are doing at T-Systems, and we have done a lot of greenfield implementation. We have done selective data migrations around S/4HANA migration. So we are able to make a one-to-one copy. You see it here as a brownfield scenario. We can do greenfield scenarios with T-Systems. We have already done this with our customers, and of course we can do bluefield migration. So we are not so talking much about the colors of migration. We are talking about the ways, and we are consulting our customers in our value consulting approach. What is the best way to the customer to go to the SAP S/4HANA? And every time we see it, our customers, doesn't matter if they make a greenfield approach or they already starting with bluefield, there's always a selective data migration, because you will not start a new S/4HANA system without any data from your history. And this is what we have seen, and this is a challenge where we help our customers, especially when you see we want to harmonize SAP systems, and customers want to merge 5 to 6 SAP systems. So what is the leading system when we merge and harmonize these systems? The second thing is, what kind of data do we take out of these systems into the final S/4HANA system? These are a lot of questions where we consult our customers and where we help our customers to find the right approach. And as I said, last but not least, test data management. So test data management, everybody says, yeah, we are doing this, and we are copying data from source production to target development or test system or QA system. But the question is how fast you can provide these kind of test data. So if you make a one-to-one copy from your complete production system and you have a 10 terabyte database, you will do this 2 times a year, maybe 3 times or 4 times a year. What we are recommending to our customers at T-Systems, we are recommending a selective test data migration, so that you do not copy the entire production system, because you do not need all the data for testing. You maybe only need the last 2 fiscal years, or you need one special company code. And This is what the T-Systems can provide to their customers, that we are only copying parts of the production data, and then the customer can use this in their test environment. They do not have to provide the same disk space. They can be more flexible, they can be more faster, and they can provide faster test systems with the relevant test data. And what is also very important is the GDPR compliance in this case. So is your test data really compliant? So you have to anonymize your test data. Your test data must be anonymized or scrambled. And this is what we are doing with our T-Systems Data Migration Factory. In that moment, the production data is leaving the production system. The data will be scrambled or anonymized so that no one who is working with the data, especially a third party, or a partner who is involved in migration projects, they cannot use the data. There are speaking names. There are credit cards with the right credit card numbers with the right length, but it is anonymized and you cannot use this data. And the good thing is our customers are 100% GDPR compliant. And yeah, this is the fact. So these are the SAP data migration challenges we see at T-Systems in the next 5 to 7 years. And to provide and to deliver these kind of data migration in the environment of public cloud, private cloud, in the environment of our customers, we need a hardware, we need a technology platform which is highly available, which is performant, which provides the performance. And yeah, and this for this I will hand over to my colleague Henning Eid from Intel. Henning, please give us an overview about your story around SAP and what you are providing to your customers.
Thank you very much, Marcus. Yeah, and thanks very much for inviting. T-System is a big partner of ours and has been so for a decade. Obviously, the team out of Germany is running the alliance, and we have been working for a long time to be partnering on understanding what the customers actually want and how we can make sure that we deliver an ability to run IT environments in a sustainable fashion so that we can actually alleviate the problems and the challenges that our customers have. And the slide doesn't want to move forward for whatever reason, but maybe someone in the background can do that for me. And so we have been working together to really make sure that we understand what the customers want, that we have the platforms that can actually deliver on the customers' demands in terms of addressing the or running the application environment and storing the data in a way that is really addressing the right customer demands. So obviously that is a long collaboration that we needed, and there's a lot of tuning and a lot of deep technical work involved. And we have been taking this into areas where we also delivered on customer solutions. And that's not only just in IT, we also went all the way to factories to be looking at how can we drive, for instance, smart factory or edge computing examples to run robots or machines on the edge. And specifically here today, we're all about T-Systems and the SAP HANA environment. So in the SAP HANA environment, which is one of the biggest workloads, as we all know, it is all about the sustainable, so the availability of the systems, running at a very high uptime, delivering the data that comes from different sources into one system, the transformation. And we have seen that the last couple of years, so especially driven by COVID, we've seen so many customers trying to change, to adapt to new solutions that drive digitalization, because they have to respond to their customer needs again. They have to be faster, they have to be agile, they have to understand what's coming through the supply chain, they have to understand how can I run my production more effective, how can I get my workers in. So a lot of challenges that are actually available. And rather than me talking about this high level, I wanted to give you an example of a customer in Africa that has been working on exactly that challenge. So they have an SAP environment, and we're looking at, hey, how can I make this more effective? The company is producing glass bottles or pharmaceutical and for healthcare purposes, and they have seen that the complexity is so high that they cannot cope with it. They cannot support the demand from their customers, and they were not able to react in the right speed. And at the same time, they ran out of capital by delivering the solution. So they were going back to T-Systems asking, okay, how can you actually help us? And T-Systems, with a dynamic cloud platform that's running on Intel scalable processors, that is running the SUSE Enterprise Linux, has been delivering the right answer to the questions. And the results were really stunning. So they were able to reduce their IT operations cost by 25%. And at the same time, we're actually having an outstanding reliability here with 99.999%. So that's only 5 minutes downtime in a year on this business critical application. So obviously that's a super great example, and that doesn't come from just tuning a bit of software. That needs really long and thorough collaboration of partners that deliver this rock solid solution. And obviously we were able to delight the customer here together, which is the plan. So let me talk about how this came together and why we're able to deliver those solutions here. And it comes actually from a very long collaboration, and I run the alliance with SAP from Intel. So we have been able to delight 30,000 customers in total, and we worked for nearly 25 years now together, and started with just optimizing what's the latest version of SAP, how does this work with the Intel processor, and we expanded our collaboration over time. We helped SAP on their design of SAP HANA so that they have a great database now, which is one of the fastest on the planet in terms of response times, latencies, and we have been continuing to work together to also help SAP on the RISE. So all of RISE currently runs on Intel. So again, there have been great collaborations also, including things like obtain memory, that you have even more memory available for your system. All of this, a great example of how we've been working together to drive the foundation with SAP. And that means we have the SAP software, we have Intel Silicon solutions, and we have a variety of other products from networking, storage, and acceleration, AI, so all of these things. And together with the brilliant partner ecosystem, we're actually able to deliver that. And what we did specifically, to be going into a little more detail here, is that we wanted to be able to deliver faster insights. What does this mean? So usually you have your data stored in different areas or in different databases. Some customers use a number of different HANA systems, and you want to consolidate, or they sit in different other buckets, be it on the cloud, be it on-premise. And the idea to have one system with one central truth so that you don't have to copy data around, that actually increases the efficiency quite a lot. At the same time, as we just said, reliability is super critical. So we have been working with SAP to make sure that we have future-proof systems that deliver the reliability, that are actually fully validated and certified by SAP HANA. And all of the instances, or several instances actually, from various cloud service providers have been certified, and we have been helping to make sure that they run the best possible way. And that allows you to run all of your landscapes also in the cloud, and not just your production landscape, but also all the things you do for testing or for development, for high availability or disaster recovery in multiple sites. And what you can see on the right-hand side is just an example of the results we have been achieving here. So obviously, great solutions that we have been delivering, and the step from the second generation Intel Xeon Scalable to the third generation, our latest generation of Intel Xeon Scalable processors, has been delivering quite a step forward in terms of performance for those that need it, or if you want to have a smaller system delivering the right value and more performance, that's also a capability. All of that actually makes only sense when you have the right software solution that runs all of your applications also. So that's why we have been partnering with SUSE. And SUSE has been also a great partner of ours. We have been working to make sure that we can reduce the overhead of the systems, that we enhance the security and the reliability. Remember the 5 nines that we were seeing earlier? And at the same time, the performance that you need for those latency sensitive workloads, such as databases. So the combination then of the foundation from Intel with our hardware, the Intel Xeon Scalable processors, the OS, and the tools that are actually coming from SUSE, together with SAP, and all of that running in a T-Systems environment, is certainly a great solution. But I think let's jump right deep into the SUSE side of the house, and I think Dirk can give us the next level of details on what SUSE is doing and how he has been contributing to all of this good news for you.
Right. Thanks, Henning. So before we dive into the parts of my presentation, I would like to highlight that we're going to talk about 3 distinct themes today, which is availability of SAP solutions, which does include security as well as scalability. Second topic will be time to market or faster time to market, including or what we call day 1 operations. And last but not least, how do we manage complexity or what we call day 2 operations? So to tackle these 3 themes, let's start off with a very well-known company based out of Washington State in the US, which is Microsoft. So a couple of years ago, Microsoft started their own S/4HANA transformation journey about 4 or 5 years ago. And they had 2 challenges. One is for internal use, since Microsoft is a very large SAP customer, as you can imagine, and also as a partner, since the Azure platform is now one of the leading SAP S/4HANA platforms for customers for as a cloud service provider. So Microsoft chose to go with SUSE for the implementation for 2 reasons. One is our very close collaboration with Intel as well as SAP over many years, so 20+ years now. And also we had a functioning and available HADR solution for pretty much all SAP HANA deployment scenarios that were necessary. And this keeps evolving over years. So from this perspective, Microsoft felt it was a safe bet to move to S/4HANA based on SUSE Linux and Intel in their data centers. And as you can see, the results of this transformation over the last 5 years is just plain outstanding. So Microsoft in 2021 is now processing about 14 million transactions each and every day, with an availability of the 99.98%, which is truly outstanding. And one of the reasons that Microsoft got there as well is the automated deployments that they're using, which is collaboration between us and Microsoft to deploy SAP services faster, and also the reliance on SUSE services in case something goes wrong, or if a very tricky, let's say an ERP scale out scenario comes along, and we can plan it accordingly. So from the three themes, let's go through availability first, which again, it does include scale as well as security. So I've brought with me two examples of two studies that were conducted over the last couple of years. One is the cost of lost productivity for a fairly mid to large scale company over 3 years, averaged over 3 years. So it's 1.9 million over 3 years counted before the move to S/4HANA. And at 1.9 million is something where a CIO is actually definitely looking at. And the other one is a cost of data breach. You might have noticed more and more data breaches coming along each and every day now. And just a breach of 1 million data records is on average, according to a IBM study, about a loss of 40 million. And if it scales to $350 million of loss, if there's 50 million records, that's, for example, customer data, email data, worst case scenario, credit card data is compromised, and it can actually go far north than that if as you can imagine. So how do we as SUSE tackle those areas? Let's dive into two sections here. One is the high availability and disaster recovery specifically for SAP systems on the large end. So we've co-developed with SAP and other partners like Intel over many years our capabilities to automate failover of SAP systems, the whole stack, in many different scenarios. So cost optimized, performance optimized, multi-tier, multi-target, and it all works hand in hand with the various different cloud environments and also with the very different SAP systems and very different SAP versions. It also includes the automatic configuration and tuning based on SAP nodes. As an SAP customer or partner, you're probably well aware that there's a boatload of SAP nodes available on the marketplace, and there is for each and every SAP workload different nodes that are being published and that you should follow in terms of configuration guidelines. And we pull them all in and automatically configure the systems according to those SAP nodes. On the right-hand side, in terms of security, we have a couple of technologies developed over the last few years, also in close collaboration with Intel, actually. Let's pick one on the left, the Linux kernel patching. So we have a technology available and also vetted by SAP that you can patch the kernel, the Linux kernel, which is the majority of the security breaches, and without having the need to immediately reboot the system, which you typically would have to do. You can postpone the reboot for up to 12 months, and that means until you hit your next planned maintenance window. So you are able, as a large customer or managed service provider or partner, to keep up your SLAs and also patch the kernel and have a security audit come in like once a month. Where are you on the high-level CVEs? But as you can imagine, if you would do that and have to reboot a 6 to 10 to 12 terabyte HANA system, that would more than likely wreck your SLA requirements. In terms of encryption, we have included technology for remote disk encryption, so customers can put their data into a cloud environment and keep the keys on-premise, so to speak. So figuratively speaking, the CIO has the keys in his pocket, but the data is encrypted on the disk of the cloud service provider. And in the middle, one of the well-known or actually pretty well hidden secrets in the security world is that most data breaches are actually coming from the inside of a company, not from the outside. So we have developed a specific workload firewall for SAP HANA in collaboration with SAP that actually filters out those attacks that comes from the inside. We obviously have firewalls that filter out the attacks from the outside, but this is a very workload specific firewall that goes through rules, who's allowed to do what, when, where, and how. So those are the areas for HA and security. I guess scalability at this point, as Henning already is kind of a given with the Intel platform, and it gets only better over time. The second area that I would like to highlight is time to market, or how can you deploy services faster? So the study that I've dug out here is fairly old. It's from 2014, and customers at that point in time were already expecting new services to come online within 2 weeks. And I would hazard a guess, if you do a study now after almost 2 years of pandemic, I would assume that the data is that the expectation is down to less than a week. So for a central IT department, this is a huge problem because it means that with typically limited or constrained resources, you're asked to do more stuff and faster. And the internal customers, they'll just say, you know what, if you can't do it, we'll do it ourselves, or what is also known as the shadow IT. And why is shadow IT a problem? Going back to the security and data breaches, if you're a credit card company or you process credit card data, thinking of, let's say, a food delivery mechanism that collects credit card data and then you can order online. If you lose that data and it's not being secured, you have a huge problem on your hand. And also, last but not least, there's manual processes that are sometimes still involved and that can hinder the delivery of new services. So in terms of time to market, how can we help this? The answer to this from our perspective, and pretty much everyone will probably agree to this, is automation wherever you can. And that means automation for server deployments, VM deployments, configuration, but also the deployments in the various different cloud service providers. Let's say Microsoft is different from Azure, Azure is different from Google, and so on and so forth, and obviously to T-Systems. So how can you do this? Also the flexibility to either have your subscription in your own data center or convert it to a, as we call it, pay-as-you-go subscription in the cloud, or the other way around. And also, very important, the feature parity between the different environments. So if you think that on-premise is the way to go, at least right now, you can do so. But you can rest assured, if you want to convert this to a cloud environment, or you want to go to T-Systems data center or to a Microsoft data center in the future, the feature set is exactly 100% the same. And then we'll tackle the last topic, which is not only do we need to deploy services faster, increasing the availability and do it as secure as well, we also need to include increasingly complex new technologies. So SAP, if you've watched the TechEd announcement from last week, is working very hard on the environments of bringing artificial intelligence, machine learning, and also edge technologies like IoT into the S/4HANA environment with the business technology platform. So how do you tackle this? I mean, emerging technology is something you haven't thought about before, but they make a whole lot of sense. I mean, just looking at edge scenarios where you can actually track where's your container right now, and do I need to reroute the container because there is a blockage at a specific port, which is one of the huge problems right now, that can give you an edge over your competitors, or at least hinder that a competitor gets an edge over you. So these technologies need to be incorporated. And again, the question is, with limited amount of resources, how do you do that? And again, the answer is pretty much automate wherever possible. So automation of upgrades, including SAP HANA updates. So we have a technology that in a cluster allows you not only to seamlessly update the operating system stack, but also the SAP HANA versions without any downtime. And also the automation of as much as possible of monitoring, logging, configuration, and patching. If you can include this into your management platform and have triggers set that alerts you to an issue that you have, that will help you before you always need to go down and look at all the configuration data files manually. So with this, I'll hand back to Marcus to talk about the data migration challenges and how T-Systems can help you with this. Markus?
Yeah, thanks, Dirk. This is great. And yet, let's move to the next slide. Yeah, and what we have heard about in the last 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, we heard about the technology, we heard about the platform. And at the beginning, I talked about the data migration challenges. And now let's bring these things together. So how can we deliver at the end these data migrations? And what is the added value of T-Systems here? So what we have created and developed at T-Systems is this, what we call SAP Data Migration Factory. So here on the top of the slide, you can see exactly the data migration challenges I've talked about at the beginning of this webinar. And here on the bottom of the slide, you can see our services around our private cloud and managed cloud services and SAP application management services we are providing for our customers. It doesn't matter if you're running in a public cloud or private cloud or still on premise if you want. And to deliver these kind of data migrations we've already talked about, we have implemented this middle layer here. And in this middle layer, we are working with a tool set, and together with our customers, we are defining what is the right approach to do the data migration and to deliver the data migration with our factory approach. So we are working, if it makes sense, with SAP standard tools to do transformation of SAP systems. We have also very close partnerships with Natuvion and also with SNP, so that we can check what is the right approach from an economical factor as well as from a technical factor for the customer to do the data to do these kind of data migrations. And the good thing of a factory approach is that we have that we can reuse things. So that because we are working with one standard tool at the customer, we are using the same tool for cloud migration as well as for S/4HANA migration. So you can reuse things, you can reuse templates, you can train your own people to do these kind of data migrations, or you do parts of it, and the same with test data. Standard functionality, selective data migration of test data to a test environment. You can reuse things, you just press a button and then the copying process will be started. This is the advantage of this factory approach. Another advantage is that we can combine multiple projects into one. And this helps us a lot when we come to the real value of this T-Systems data migration factory. So in general, we say we can reduce project cost by 32% on average. We can reduce the ERP downtime by 73% on average, and overall we reduce the project risk. So how do we do this? Reduce project cost means we can do multiple projects in one. So imagine we have a customer who has an SAP landscape running on Oracle. It's not in the final ECC version, and you have to do a new GL implementation and all the stuff to make the upgrade to S/4HANA. So we can do this, for example, in one step. We do not have an SAP upgrade process. We do not have a data migration project. We can do this in one step, and this is how we can save costs, how we can save project cost. And doing it in one step, it also means that we have only one downtime and not 3 or 4 downtimes if we do it step by step. And this is exactly what we have proven at a large German customer, a fast-moving consumer goods customer. So he has 3 SAP landscapes, and his plan was to migrate these 3 SAP landscapes into one S/4HANA environment. And he run on Oracle database, etc. Had to do an SAP upgrade for one version, And what we have done there is we have counted the number of downtimes we can eliminate. And in this case, you see it here in the middle, we could eliminate 7 downtimes, including the HANA migration. And then we have made a calculation for the customer before we start with the project. We said, okay, we can eliminate 7 downtimes. If we take the assumption each downtime is 24 hours and the cost of a planned downtime for an SAP system is 50,000 euro per hour, then we get a business value of 8.4 million euro, because 7 multiplied with 24 hours multiplied with 50,000 euros, we come to 8.4 million euro. And this is a huge business value we can generate with the T-Systems Data Migration Factory. The second thing is reducing project costs. So you only have to ramp up 1 IT project, not 3, 4, or 5 projects, and you can reduce test cycles, etc. So this is a value based on our assumption around 450,000 euro. And the good thing is, as said, we have only 1 downtime, and this 1 downtime we can reach this downtime because the users are working through the whole project on the old SAP production system. So there's no downtime for them when we do the database migration or anything else. They are still working on it, and only on the cut-over workend we migrate the final data from source to target. Means from the old SAP system to the new S/4HANA system, for example, or the new system in the cloud. And this lowers the project risk. Why? Because the source system is unchanged. There are no changes in customization. There are no data changes, nothing. And for whatever reason, if the final data migration and the final migration goes wrong, and we cannot deliver the new system, then we do not have to plan 10 or 12 hours to restore a backup. So we can use these 10, 12 hours to find a solution to go productive with a new environment, because if we do not find a solution, we can easily switch on the old systems and the users are working or will start working on a Monday morning like they have done it on a Friday afternoon. And this is exactly how we can save, based on the assumptions I already mentioned, additional 1.5 million euro. This is 1.5 million euro time we can generate for the customer. So this is a very interesting point and a very interesting value we are delivering here for our customers. And if you want to know how this value would be in your environment, how you can plan your upgrade or your migration to S/4HANA, or the harmonization of S4 system, or if you are staying just in front of an M&A and you have to carve out exactly a part of your company which you want to sell, then we have the offering for you to take a free assessment with our S&P Crystal Bridge assessment. So we can show you the technical situation on your SAP systems, the data structure and everything around. And then we can go into we call it value consulting, to show you the right way, the right roadmap, how you do your SAP transformation. Doesn't matter if we're talking about cloud migration, S/4HANA, mergers and acquisitions, or maybe it's even test data. Then we can help you. So please take the advantage of this free Crystal Bridge assessment. Call us, call me, or your contact at T-Systems, and we will help you here immediately. Yeah, thanks a lot for your time, and I hope we can answer some question of you had before this webinar. And yeah, I'm curious about your questions, and yeah, I'm giving back to Philip. Philip, are there already any questions for us we can answer?
Yeah, we have some questions here. So first of all, if we do not have the time to answer them all, rest assured, you can always contact the panelists from today directly. I will blend in some contact details now, so you can connect on LinkedIn, That's aside from the questions you can ask today. And one question of those is, how do you make sure that there is a minimal unplanned downtime when deploying S/4HANA into T-Systems?
Yeah, Philip, I'll take that one. So obviously, I mean, we have a long-standing relationship with T-Systems as well as Intel with specifics to SAP deployments. So what we do is, if there is a very specific customer needs or very complex environment that comes up, or anything that is specific, we'll work with the engineers from both parties to figure out what's the best path forward, closely monitor the first proof of concepts, and then deploy with confidence. And for the other environments, for the more standardized environments, we also monitor what is happening, what is the feedback from other customers or partners. Is there anything that we should look at in terms of technology that we need to incorporate, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, maybe I can add something here. So what we can, how we can support such a migration is with our near zero downtime approach. So we are able to migrate large databases in a very narrow downtime window from a SAP source system into a target system, for example, in the cloud. And so we are able to migrate around 15 terabyte in 12 to 18 hours, and this is a huge value we can deliver.
Okay, I hope that answered the question. I have another one here. Will running my SAP landscape in the cloud impact the user experience in terms of application performance or latency?
I think this one is a great one. I'm heading out here from Intel. So what we have been working on, as discussed earlier, there has been a long-standing work to make sure that the performance in the cloud actually delivers on the requirements. And as you said, that the reliability has been actually 5 nines, so 5 minutes unplanned downtime. So this is really good, and we were able to deliver a lot together with both T-Systems and SUSE here. So I don't know if any of the other speakers wants to comment on this too. Nope. Okay.
That does not seem to be the case. So we go over to the next question. There's a customer or attendee who says, we have several SAP and non-SAP databases, which I would like to consolidate into a single large system. What is the maximum size for an S/4HANA system on T-Systems?
Oh, this is a very good question. To be honest, I don't know what is the maximum size. This is what we have to check. So I can give some examples. So for a retail customer, we made a roadmap how to harmonize and to merge 6 SAP ECC landscapes into one. So this was absolutely possible. The other project I'm thinking about where we created a roadmap was a public customer of us. He has 7 SAP landscapes, want to harmonize this in one S/4HANA landscape. So there are several approaches, and yeah, as I said, to be honest, I don't know the exact number, how many systems it. I think there is no exact number, but yeah, we can check this in detail, and please come back to us, and then we can make a free crystal bridge assessment, and then we can give you an answer when your case with the challenge is.
Perhaps it's a nice idea to have another look at the slide with the assessment QR code.
Right.
I go back to the contact slides immediately, but there is another question. Can I run the T-Systems data migration factory on my own or only through T-Systems?
I will take this question. I think it's going directly to T-Systems. you can run it on your own. It's no problem that you can train your people if you want, or if you have people already trained on these kind of projects. Yeah, no problem to run it on your own. If you say, I don't want to have this in my area or in my company, please T-Systems do it for me. It's also no problem. Or if we say we do hybrid scenarios, that parts of the work will be handled by the customer, other parts by T-Systems, maybe the complex ones, which are not so often the case, then we can do this. So every approach is possible here.
Okay. And for the time being, there's one last question, and we have enough time to answer that one too. How can I influence the selection of software tools for the T-Systems data migration factory?
So absolutely open discussion. So we check, there's, as I said, there's always an investment in software licenses. The only where you do not have to invest in software licenses if you take SAP standard tools. So it depends on the the requirements in the project. If we can do this with standard SAP tools, then it's absolutely okay. If we have a real complex carve out, for example, then we can check what is the best approach with, for example, Natuvion, or is it SNP, and we can check this together, and then we can make the right decision. So it is an investment. What is the return of investment? I gave the example of this fast-moving consumer goods customer with a business value of around 10 million euro. And then we can say, okay, the investment for licenses of 1 or 2 million euro is absolutely okay for this project, because you have a return of investment of 10, or you have a business value of 10. And so this is the way how we work together with the customer. What is the best approach from a technical perspective as well as from an economical perspective?
Okay. Yeah, it stayed the last question for today. So this was delivering the promise of SAP S/4HANA, the executive business briefing with T-Systems, Inter, and SUSE. My name was Philipp von Schmeling. I was very pleased to meet you all here today. Thank you for attending. Thank you for presenting. I hope you stay healthy, and perhaps we see each other on a different occasion.